Okay, today we are still in our Envision books, and we are on Envision, Topic 1, Lesson 4. Okay, and we're still going to continue on with place value and understanding the place value behind a decimal. And so you're going to find what I'm talking about on page 23. Okay, so let's look at that first question. And it says, a runner won a 100-meter race with a time of 9 and 85 hundredths seconds. You can use a place value chart to explain this time. Complete a place value chart to show the time. And you can go ahead and do this one on your own place value chart. And I am going to draw out my own. And so I will just go ahead and write a line here. And I'm going to do some lines here. And I have one place in front of the decimal. So I'll have my decimal place. And I notice that I have 3 place values. So I'm just going to draw one that has 3 place values. And again, I'm going to write 9 and 85 hundredths seconds. So I have a number, and so here's my ones. Here's my decimals. Here's my tenths. And here's my hundredths. Oh my goodness, my pen is going crazy today. Okay, so I will write my 9 in the one spot. I have a decimal. My 8 in the tenth spot, because it's one place value to the right of the decimal, and my 5 in the hundredth spot, which is 2 place values to the right of the decimal. Another way that you could write 9 and 85 hundredths and show the value is if you write 9 times 1 plus, because that's the one spot, so we write 9 times 1, plus 8 times 1/10, which would give us 8 tenths, plus 5 times 1/100th, which would give me 5 hundredths. And another way I could just write it is in regular expanded form, which would be 9 plus 8 tenths plus 5 hundredths. All of these are equivalent. I just want you to be able to understand the different ways that you can write each decimal place, or each place value for that matter. If you look at the bottom, it says, look back. In the decimal 9 and 85 hundredths, what is the value of the 8 and the 5? And we already know that because we wrote our place value chart. So the value of 8 is 8 tenths. And the value of 5 is 5 hundredths. Okay, so that is for the front page. We are now going to turn over to page 23. And we're going to go ahead and do those problems on page 23 together. So we are on page 24. So please make sure that you turn your Envision books to page 24. And if you look at the problem at the top, let's go ahead and let's look at that. It says, Joe picked a seed from her flower. The seed has a mass of 245 thousandths grams. I'm going to write that down. 245 thousandths grams. Okay, what are some of the different ways you can represent 245 thousandths? And we did that. We did that on the top. And we can just maybe, again, write make our own little place value chart, which you have yours. And I will accept you trying to do it on your own little place value chart. And I notice that I have 4 place values represented. I'm not doing a very good job of making them spaced equally, but that's okay. All right. So let's go ahead and write in. I have a 1 spot, a decimal, a tenths, a hundredths. See if I can write that small enough. Not hundreds, hundredths. Hope you guys already know that. And a thousandths. And remember, you have your own place value chart, so this should not be a big deal for you. Okay, so the 0 goes in the 1 spot. Of course, we have a decimal. Our 2 goes in the tenth spot. Our 4 goes in the hundredth spot. And our 5 goes in the thousandth spot. So that is one way that we can represent that. We can also represent it in expanded form. And so I would put, I don't need to write a 1 spot because we have a 0, but I have 2 tenths plus 4 hundredths plus 5 thousandths. And I hope that you understand the way that I did that. I just kept them in their own place value. And if I added those together, it would equal 245 thousandths. And if you go down to the convince me, it says, how many hundredths are in 1/10? How many thousandths are in 100th? And tell me how you know. Remember, when we move up a place value, whether we're behind the decimal or not, it's always 10 times the value of that number. So where there are 10 hundredths in 1/10, just like there are 10 ones and 10. 1/10, and there are 10 thousandths, not 10 thousandths, in 100th. Remember, as you move to the left of each place value, you will get, it's 10 times that number to move up a place value. I hope that you remember that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do some practices with you, and I'm going to have to move on to a new page. Remember, you can pause this if you need to continue with the notes. But I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a clean page, and I am still on page 24, or excuse me, 25. I'll be on page 25 now. And I'm just going to take some problems out of the independent practice. And it says, write each of the numbers in expanded form. And so we're going to go ahead and do number 5 together. And it says 3 times 1, and that's a 3, plus 3 times 1/10, plus 9 times 1,000th. And we need to write that as in standard form. So we need to write that as a regular number. And I notice I have a number in the 1 spot, excuse me, so I will have a number 3. And then I see that those two are fractions, so I know I'm going to have a decimal. I have a 10th spot. I know that because I see that 1/10. And so 3 times 1/10 is, of course, 3 tenths. I do not have a hundredth, so I'm going to put a 0 there. And 9 times 1,000th is 9 thousandths. Okay, let's go ahead and let's look at number 6. And it says 9 and 20 hundredths. Now this one is a little tricky, but I promise you it's going to be okay. So of course I have the number 9. Now it says I have 20 hundredths, so does that mean I have any tenths? I do not have any tenths. Oh, excuse me, I do have tenths. We are just writing it like this. And the only reason we have 20 is because we put a 0 at the end. Is 9 and 2 hundredths equivalent? Absolutely. 9 and 2 tenths is equivalent. These are the same. They just wrote the 0. We don't actually have anything in the hundredth spot. If I wrote it like this, it would be 900, 9 and 200 thousandths. But still, it is the same. It's all equivalent. If that is confusing to you, make sure you please come and talk to me, and we will also go through it as a class. Okay, we are going to write the two decimals that are given, that are equivalent to the given decimal. And so I'm going to look at number 7, and I don't want you to think that this is harder than it needs to be. So I have 2 and 200ths. That is equivalent to 2 and 2/20ths. It is also equivalent to 2 and 2/10ths. Look at number 10. I have 4 and 200ths, which is equal to 4 and 20, sorry, 4 and 2,000ths, which is equal to 4 and 200ths, which is equal to 4 and 2/10ths. I could add zeros on this forever. I could make it 4 and 2 millionths. It would still have the same value in the 10th spot. All right, your homework today is the guided practice. And this is on page 25. And please do numbers 1 through 3. Remember, always try them. If you don't get it 100% right, I'm a lot less worried about that than when you don't try. Good luck, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.